What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk Packers, and more specifically Packers training camp. Got a lot of stuff to dive into. I know the chat's already filling in. Tonight, guys, we're going to hit on the offensive side of the details that we gained from Packers training camp earlier today, which Tim was right there, boots on the ground. We'll also hit the defensive side of the ball, just get you all the updates that you need to be aware of. And then we'll have a little discussion about the new uniforms that were unveiled today, which I'm really, really excited about. We kind of called that with the leather helmets, kind of piggybacking off what Illinois did last year in the college football season. But before we do that, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're new here to PTA, welcome into Packers Total Access. We appreciate you making us a part of your evening. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. What we are, we're fans just like you here talking Packers on the daily. We go live every single day, in some cases multiple times a day. You don't believe me? Ask my wife. She's still mad about it. We also do pregame shows, postgame shows, film breakdown, the whole 9 yards. So if you're looking for Packer content on the daily, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Gents, how y'all doing? Y'all ready to dive into these training camp updates?
You know it. Ready to go.
I think Jacob's on a little bit of a delay, I believe. Or he froze. Yeah, a little bit of delay. Maybe to settle in, Jacob. Just take your time, man. It's all good. It'll work. We'll get it going here in a minute. All right, let's dive into it. So first things first, man. I seen this. Look at the Green Bay Packers new logo on their Twitter account, by the way. Is that not just nasty, dude?
Yeah,
Love
baby.
the fact that everything has been kind of rebranded to the the 1923 season, I believe, the first year that they held a stock share, right, or a stock sale, I should say. But
Right.
Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, man. You've been right there in house. Matthew Golden, as they pointed out here, Green Bay already has a lot of love for this guy. Man, it sounds like Matthew Golden he can do no wrong right now, man, and he seems humble, but at the same time, you can tell he just oozes with confidence as well, man. What do you think about Matthew Golden so far?
I think that's a great way of putting it, Clayton. Oozes confidence, not arrogance, right? It's a fine line between, confidence and cockiness, right? And Matt Golden's a humble dude. And that being said, I think it's a great point to bring up because, being the hot new rookie receiver, obviously a fan favorite already, this moment doesn't seem too big for him. This is a guy that is not nervous out there, playing with some good energy, positive vibes, high energy out there. We'll get into the details a little later, but he's progressing pretty nicely so far. Of course, we're only 2 days in, but you got to love the guy's attitude, man, for sure. And then he's backing it up out there on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. As this clip right here comes in from our good buddy Baz over at Basarsky Productions. I'm sure if you're subbed to this little channel, you're subbed over there. Just a good friend of the show, always been a good ally here for us at PTA. As he posted this clip, awesome rep by Packers rookie Matthew Golden here, return route, then drift upfield and find the open zone for a big gain. Also a nice rep from Bo Melton covering up a return route pretty well. So I love that he kind of multitask there. Jacob, what do you think about Matthew Golden, man? It's camp, right? It's early in camp, but boy, oh boy, it seems like it's not too big for him so far. The awkward delay. I think he actually froze this time, didn't he, Tim?
Oh, there it goes. Can you hear us, Jacob?
He is so mad. Jacob, I'm sorry, dude. It's not him either. It's StreamYard. He just looks so angry. Hey, sign off. There you go. I was going to tell him to sign off and sign back on. Jacob looks so mad. I don't mean to laugh, but God, that was hilarious, man. Looked like Nate Hobbs said today, Tim, about to take belt to somebody's ass right there. That was about to happen. So, so pretty cool, man. Another thing you notice in here, too, is that Luke Musgrave running that route off the right side, Tim. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you could tell
88,
or not.
Yeah.
It looks like he starts outside, so they had him flex. See him, then he cheats in.
Yeah, that's Musgrave.
Yeah. Look at him stretching the field, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we've always known that about him, right? We know he's capable of being a vertical threat, man. Musgrave can stretch the defense. He really can. It's just a matter of, is he progressing to where he needs to be? But he looks good here running that route for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I'm excited to see how they utilize him, and that's how I want to see them use him, to be honest with you, Tim. Like, Tucker has shown he can play attached. He can play inline. He can also flex out. We showed the missile that Jordan Love hit him down the seam with there against Houston, right? Right. Yeah. What was 61, almost 62-mile-an-hour fastball there from Jordan Love. Yeah. So we've seen him mainly attach, and I feel like he can block, although PFF says he can't. So I think the blocking's good. I think he's even better as a receiver and a flex and a semi-attached Y. But Musgrave, this is how I want to see them use him, man. I would love to see them flex him out wide and make the defense choose, especially a defense that wants to run man coverage. Are you going to walk a backer out there on him, or are you going to put a safety out there on him, right? That's the big question. We're going to try Jacob here to see if we got any kind of delay. Looked like it might have froze up again. Poor Jacob, man. He rushed home and everything to get on the show, man. I feel bad. We're going to have to email StreamYard or something. It's ridiculous. So might have to change platforms too before it's all said and done. But does that make sense though, Tim? Like I think that's where Musgrave's going to make his hay, is being able to manipulate what the defense can or cannot do in terms of coverage, backer or a safety type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. He's more of a threat, I believe, as a field stretcher and a receiving tight end. The blocking hopefully improves, right? But we know when it comes down to getting down and dirty in the trenches, we'd rather have Ben Sims and Tuck Norris doing that kind of work, right? So let Musgrave go ahead and stretch the field. I love it.
Hey, Jacob, why don't we try to kill the camera? I see you in the background. Kill your camera, and let's see if it fixes the delay. Maybe that'll help a little bit whenever you hear this. Hell, we might be on the next segment by the time you hear it. Anyway, moving along here. Let's go on to the next shot here from Baz. Really, really cool. This is he says a dime from Jordan Love firing a hole shot to McCole Hardman between Williams and Hobbs. Really, really like this shot here. It's kind of hard to see, but on the left side, they call it a hole shot, and many people do. When you guys hear me describe like a cover two defense, I'll tell you there's 3 spots you can attack a cover two defense in a zone look, and that is in the bunker or the base. So you got 2 bunkers, a bunker on each sideline, and that's what they call the hole, right? So you can get it over top the corner but underneath the safety, or you can attack the base down the seam if they're not in a Tampa 2 look. We're going to try to get Jacob in here again. Jacob, let's try it again. Any delay? You good now?
I think for the time being, maybe. Could be good.
All right, cool. Well, you just chime in when you want, man. We'll let it settle in here real quick. But if you want to kill your camera, that may end a little bit of the delay too. I don't know if it will or not, but just disable your camera, and we'll see if that helps you on your end. You just jump in whenever you want. So, yeah, this whole shot here to McCole Hardman. I was listening to Wildy talking to Brian Balaga a little bit earlier today on the Homer Hour, and he was like, man, Wildy, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but he was like, I didn't expect McCole to come out and be like this big playmaker, this big contributor, right? But boy, oh boy, every step of the way, Tim, OTAs, mini camp, and now training camp, you just keep hearing his name every single day. Obviously, this is a whole shot. You got to be a little bit brave there too. And let's be honest, Evan Williams kind of pulled up. He didn't want to kill number 6 here, right? Yeah. But it's every year, man, something like this happens. I remember Romeo Dobbs' rookie year it was just like you kept hearing his name over and over and over that camp. And then you come out that fall, and next thing you know, he's one of the top receivers on the team.
Yeah, and it's great to see him building that rapport with Jordan Love, as well as Sean Clifford and Taylor Algersma, for that matter. Building good relationships with our quarterbacks and, putting our secondary to work there. Obviously guys are going to, have to pull up a little bit in these situations. There's no pads on yet, right? We don't want anyone getting hurt. But that being said, man, practices have been really intense these first couple of days. Unlike anything I've seen the last couple of years being there. I think back to last year or the year before on day 1 and 2, it was kind of easier way into things. And, much to Matt LaFleur and this staff's credit, man, he's had these guys out running from the very get-go. And I think it's important to get guys like McCole Hardman involved in your offense early, and that's going to raise that standard for the younger guys. A lot of these younger guys in the receiving room, they're going to have to fight through a wily veteran like McCole Hardman to maybe find that last spot on this roster. And, we'll get to the special teams and the return game aspect that he brings to the table as well, I'm sure later on, but it's awesome to see him getting involved. And, he's one of those guys that does make his teammates better too. You can see it out there. If you've watched any bit of practice, he's just a great guy to have in the locker room and, really challenging these guys out there, both sides of the ball. I love it.
Caldwell Corner in the house. Good to see you, buddy. He says, McCole been a touchdown / big play machine this whole time. Again, he's just one of those names that keeps popping up every single day. AFAM in the house says Jacob's grandma hogging all the bandwidth. AFAM, he told me that your mama was at his house and she was having a virtual Tupperware party, and that's what's hogging all the bandwidth. I don't know if that's true or not, man. Some of the youngins in the chat said, "What the heck's Tupperware?" Yeah. Well, that's a blast from the past, is it not, Tim? I know.
Can you tell we're 80s babies?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Say those Tupperware parties, man. I tell you, they put food on the table.
You know it.
Quite a bit.
And into the refrigerator when you're done, right?
Yeah, exactly. Baz also put this tweet out. Love the fake toss concept. Love finds Wicks across the middle. So we got a Tay Wicks signing here. And obviously, watch Jordan. You're just going to see that fake toss right. Get the backers to bite just enough. Maybe get a spur safety to hesitate just a touch, and then hit Wicks down the side. It's going to be a big camp and a big camp preseason and early in the year as well for Tay Wicks, Tim. I mean, they have got the pressure on his backside right now, man, with all these young rookies coming in, and obviously Romeo Dobbs trying to prove that he still belongs. And, you know, we'll get into that in a second, but what do you think about Wicks here, man? I mean, obviously you catching the football, that's a step in the right direction based off of last year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can tell there's been an emphasis on the hands. And, you know, we were talking about Matthew Golden and his attitude and, the demeanor he brings as a rookie in this situation. I look at Tay Wicks and he's kind of similar. Everybody knows that there's pressure on him, right? The seat is getting warmer in that wide receiver room, and, it's crowded. There's a traffic jam in there, and spots are a premium. That being said, I think Tay Wicks has really handled this all very well, and is super calm and collected when he's out there, knows what he's got to do. Clearly hit the jugs machine a little bit and has been working on the hands, which is good. And it's nice to see it translate here, even in day two, walkthroughs like this, just kind of making catches and doing what we need him to do, because that was really the only issue we had with him, right? Was the few errant drops. Pretty much everything else was good. We've seen Tay Wicks block guys to the water cooler before, just like a lot of guys in this receiving room. So if he gets the hands together, oh yeah, we're going to be hyper competitive in this wide receiver room as the weeks roll on here.
Yeah, in his rookie year, I specifically remember he was the yak king on this team. Like yards after catch, Tay Wicks was a monster, and the drops weren't an issue, as much of an issue, I should say. Separation, route running, that's kind of his superpower, and his ability to break tackles, yards after catch. That's what he does well. So I think you're spot on, Tim. You get the hands thing taken care of, and if I'm him, I'm going the Romeo Dobbs approach. And you remember he had drops issues that first year, and they said that he was staying after practice, catching 500 balls off the jugs machine. Like, man, do everything you can. We got a chance to meet Tay Wicks' family. We got to meet a couple of his cousins. I want to say it was two cousins, a brother, and his mom. When we were at the Tennessee game, they sat down a few rows in front of us. Salt of the earth people, man. Just unbelievable. I'm rooting for Tay Wicks so hard, man, because, I mean, not just because his family are just absolute sweethearts, but the dude plays the game the right way. The only thing he's struggling with is the hands last year. And I want to say this, too. If you go back and watch it, he cleaned it up in the second half of the season, just like Jaden Reed did. And that kind of gets, brushed under the rug. You always remember the worst performances as opposed to, wow, he may not have put up gaudy numbers, but he did kind of fix the drop issue down the stretch there. So just something to kind of keep your eye on. I remember people specifically talking about, it was like the last 5 or 6 games of the season, his drops, they went down pretty significantly. Packer up in the chat says, Clayton, is McCole going to play on the return team, you think, or be exclusive at wide receiver? I would love to see him on the return team. Now, this is Our Lads. If you guys are not familiar, Our Lads is a really cool website. They do a good job of keeping the depth chart somewhat updated based off of what they're seeing in practice and everything. The last update I seen, they actually had Mecole Hardman as the number 1 punt returner and kick returner. Second was Keyshawn Nixon at both, then Jaden Reed behind them. So, I don't know, man. I know today, Tim, they struggled fielding punts off the jugs machine, if I remember correctly, right? And I want to say that they said part of the issue, and I think Keyshawn brung it up because there were several of them bobbling the snap, kicking it, or bobbling the catch and kicking it and everything. It's because they were lined up too far back, I believe is what they said, and they were having to sprint to the ball. I don't know if that was by design or if maybe it was just a miscalculation on the coaching staff. But I don't know.
It could have been, because I saw those first few that came out of there, man. It looked like missiles. Yeah, like so maybe they backed up to kind of adjust, and then they must have tweaked the jugs machine a little bit.
Got it.
But yeah, I saw Matt Golden drop one. I'm not sure who else had a drop on a return. But it could be just, hey, day 2, we're ironing out the new equipment, whatever. And hey, this is when you want guys, it's important to remember, this is when you want our guys to make those mistakes, right?
Yes.
You want a guy muffing a punt in, July and August, not September or October. So, get them out of your system now. And I think it's good to just, push these guys early, and they'll get up to speed here as we progress.
Yeah. So to answer Packer Up's question, if it were up to me, I want Mecole Hardman to be the number 1 returner. I want Jayden Reed to be nowhere near it. I think he's too valuable in the slot. And the reality also is that Mecole Hardman will also be probably plugging in to play a little play a little slot, which is Jayden Reed's position as well. But, man, let him handle that. And when Jayden Reed needs a breather, bring Mecole in. Now, I say that, Packer Up, but also as I say that, we all understand and know as well, Mecole might not even be on the team. We may be sitting here talking about Dontavion Wicks. He may get traded. Romeo Doubs may not be on the team. And that's something that was mentioned by Wildy earlier, was like, it was almost like if he had to guess if there was a player that was going to get traded, because they do like to flip guys at the end of camp, right? They'll like to flip a guy for a pick real quick if you're going to cut them anyway. I don't see Romeo Doubs being a potential cut. I could see it being a scenario, though, where maybe the value is so good there at a draft pick that's offered to you, and you're not going to re-sign him. Why not go ahead and pick up that pick? But yeah, I tell you, man, I think you will notice it too if Romeo Doubs isn't on this team, because he's got some of the best hands on the team. We got Jacob back with us here. Jacob, what do you think about what Packer Up asked here? Is Mecole going to play on the return team? You think it'll be exclusive at wide receiver? I would love to see Hardman be our number 1 returner. What do you think, man?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me now. I had to go strangle the hamster on the wheel. I think it's going to be predominantly that he will start as a return guy. And I think that, though, depending on how this offseason shapes out, he's been showing more and more that he is a big play type of threat. And obviously that's a crowded wide receiver room. But I just think that Matt LaFleur, if he recognizes that he has some sort of weapon, he's going to use that weapon. It might not be every single play. It might not even be every single game. But I think that he will start to scheme up certain plays, certain schemes, certain situations where Mecole Hardman could be a very big factor into this offense.
I feel like Packer Up's question kind of answers it for me. I think if Mecole Hardman's on this team, he's on this team as a receiver and a return guy. I don't think he's going to be an exclusive in either category. I don't think we have enough room on this roster. And you talked about Jayden Reed being valuable, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball. One could make the argument that I don't want to see Keyshawn Nixon returning kicks, because at this point in the corner room, he's too valuable as a corner. So if Mecole Hardman can help us in the return game, I say bring it on.
I think it's a very good point, Tim. Holmes MD1 says Williams took punt return today as well. Kraft was taking kick return. LOL. I seen that too, that Kraft fielded 1 or 2 off kick return. Oh, yeah. Boy, I'd hate to be one of those gunners coming down the field at the hit 85 returning the kick with a full head of steam. That'd be hilarious. But what he said here with Savion Williams, that might end up being the guy. You never know. We may look up at the end of camp and be like, holy cow, Savion Williams just took this. Another player that they compared him to, if I remember correctly, was Cordero Patterson. You guys remember when he was in Minnesota? Hated that guy. Absolutely hated that dude, because it wasn't nothing for him to house one. So
I think there's a lot of guys that with return talent, especially in the receiving room. I got to meet Will Shepard this morning. Super cool dude. Got to see him on his way into practice. That's a name that comes to mind. A guy fighting for a practice squad place. Special teams is a way for you to play yourself onto a team.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I thought this tweet from Wes Heikowitz was awesome. Love is getting guys biting on the hard count today. Now Cooper jumps on an A-gap blitz. Two parts of there, right? They got Coop back in there, and we'll talk about him when we get to the defensive side of the ball, but they got him mugging that A-gap again, right? And you put on an extra 20 pounds. That ain't to play coverage linebacker. That's to get in there with the hog mollies to smack somebody in the mouth, right? But the fact that Jordan Love, Jacob, is continuing to use that hard count that he learned from Aaron Rodgers and probably get even closer to perfecting it. His first year as a starter in 2023 surprised the heck out of me. I didn't expect him to be as effective with it that early. And then obviously the injuries last year kind of throws a wrinkle into everything. It's probably the last thing on your mind is trying to get them to jump on a hard count. Would be really, really beneficial if Jordan can break that out of the tool bag this year, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we always talk about the like the tendencies and some of like the traits, the details that Favre passes down to Rodgers, who passes down to Love. And a lot of times that's kind of just, you can roll your eyes at it a little bit. They obviously develop a little bit of footwork, similar like handoffs, play fakes, that sort of stuff. But I think the one that is absolutely clear and obvious is that Favre passed down that hard count to Rodgers. Rodgers passed down that hard count to Love. That is almost, even some of the same, what is it? Blue
80.
Blue 80. Yeah. And just
blue,
all that.
I remember Blue 58 was my
Blue 58. Yep.
It's say Blue 58, and as he said, set hut, the ball was already being snapped. So it was like that was a mock part of it. But yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's what I wanted. And I just really do think that is an intangible thing that you can actually, or that is a tangible thing that you can really see that, like, yeah, it got passed down through the 3 generations, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 1 to be determined, right? And it's nice because
I would argue that Aaron perfected the cadence aspect, though.
Yeah,
I think Aaron was the master of the cadence, right?
Yep, I agree with that. Favre used to just kind of gutturally scream, and he'd get him. He'd get him a lot. It's great. It's fun to watch.
Well, speaking of Hall of Famers, since you just mentioned a future Hall of Famer and one that's already in first ballot, we got to mention Travis Glover here. Travis Glover has replaced Aaron Banks at left guard the last couple team periods. Unclear if it's injury related. So Matt Schneidman had tweeted that out. I'm just glad
Emilio when you need him.
I'm glad he's back home in New York because we would not be hearing the end of this. He would be 123.5% convinced that Travis Glover's the backup left guard right now.
Heard it from a fan right here.
And again, it sounds like they are letting Sean Ryan take the majority of the snaps at center. Everybody's kind of coming around to the whole Elton Jenkins situation here, Tim. Based on all the experts that I heard today, it was really lockstep with what we said last night. That sounds like the Packers are dug in. They're not going to budge on that contract, and Elton Jenkins is just going to have to play under the current contract. Now, hopefully there's no ill will there. And maybe it was something that he realized, okay, they're not going to give me a bump here. So can we do something to save a little face? Yeah, my back's a little tight. All right, let's sit you out for a few days and get you back in there when the back is healthy. I don't know what you heard, if you heard anything around practice facility today, but it kind of feels like that whole steam of Elton getting a little more guaranteed money is really starting to fizzle out.
Yeah, I can't really speak to anything that I've heard. I can just tell you what I saw with my own 2 eyes, just kind of watching. I got a little treat. We had the offense running on the south end zone, normally where the defense is and where I'm camped out. So got to see some 2-minute drill with the ones today and a little bit of the offense doing some work. And what I observed was Elton Jenkins was in the front of the line everywhere that the offense was. So he was engaged. He was moving around. I think there could be some truth to what you're thinking here, Clay, that, maybe by this weekend, I think we've got off on Saturday and then a couple practices in a row, Sunday and Monday. Hopefully as we get into, week 2 here of training camp, maybe a Big E's back out there with a helmet on and running through some drills.
Yeah, for sure. This one came in from our very own Tim here, Jacob. Got us a little 2-minute drill clip to play in the background. But what do you think about if I think Elton's going to be fine. He's going to be your starting center, right? I think Jordan Morgan, they want him to win that right guard spot if he stays healthy. Jacob, do you see that offensive line any different, or is it pretty straightforward? I mean, it sounds like it's going to be Rasheed Walker which, by the way, his answers when they asked him about his potential contract, do you think it's fair? Blah blah. Boy, he handled it perfect. What am I going to do? There ain't nothing I can do. Go out there and play and earn the next contract, right? Love the way he stood on that for sure. But what do you think about the offensive line, Jacob? Anything else stick out to you other than Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, and then, of course, Zach Tom with that new contract? Or would you like to see someone else maybe start?
I mean, let's talk about Travis Glover. No, I'm kidding. What I honestly think I really like what Holmes said here when we were talking about whether or not they're going to give Elton that new money, and if he was, for whatever reason, causing a stink, which I don't think that's the case. But I really liked what he said. He said the Packers cannot set that precedent, which would basically is, if I'm understanding Holmes right, it's that when a player starts stomping and I'm not saying Elton's doing this, but if a player were to start stomping and kind of gripe into the media, maybe making a little bit of a drama to try to get himself in quote unquote a better position to make more money, that's something that the Packers front office has rarely ever bought into, if ever, and I just don't think it's a good look. I'm glad that they decided that even Elton Jenkins isn't above that precedent, and they don't want to break that. So I really agree with that. It is starting to trouble me a little bit that we've spent very high draft capital on two guys that we're not quite sure where they're going to play or if they're going to play on that line at all. I think if you listen to Ryan's podcast this morning, he maybe did highlight a little bit of that frustration as well, or just maybe more confusion, I think is the case right now. But we have to remember it's very early in this process, and the Packers tend to do weird stuff like this, like starting guys at random spots, just trying to see if there's a good fit, if there's just any sort of crazy progression, whatever the case may be for the reason that they do this. By the time the season starts, it seems like the dust always settles and we get ourselves the best five. That's all I care about. I don't care about contract structure, whether or not you're a first rounder, a second rounder, a UDFA. I want the best five that are going to protect Jordan Love and, move those hog mollies so that Josh Jacobs can absolutely just smash.
Yeah, speaking of hog mollies, look at this face.
Hey.
All right. So our good buddy Eli.
I'm never eating dinner before the podcast.
Exactly.
Liver and onions.
And by the way, rest in peace to the Hulkster. I know we showed this the other day, and obviously everybody heard he had passed on. But man, yeah, that's a guy. Listen, I understand he's a polarizing figure. Some people, you either love him or you hate him. I know this, man. Growing up in the '80s, boy, oh boy, was he everywhere, baby. He was everywhere. So Eli Berkovitz, speaking of the Hulkster, Eli Berkovitz here said Matt LaFleur was asked how he'll keep all of his pass catchers happy. Quote, winning.
And that's I love it. Right? Straight Tupac LaFleur answer right there, baby. You got to love it.
And I think it's so important. That's how he's looking at it. It's like he's not going to hear anything about this guy's not getting enough touches, that guy's not getting enough touches. If indeed that was what happened with Romeo Doubs last year and there was a complaint about his role, boy, what did Matt do? All right, cool, you're suspended. Like, we ain't going to hear it, right? And hopefully it wasn't as brash as that, but Matt's not playing games here, man. It's just like what you were just saying with the offensive line, Jacob. I personally don't think it's confusing at all. And I haven't heard Ryan's pod on that, but you guys are not in the minority there. I think I'm in the minority. I look at the offensive line and go, you got these guys under contract for, 2-3 more years now. The rookies, a 4-year contract. Why not go ahead and use up the guys that are your starters, right? Like if it's neck and neck, Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan, give me Jordan Morgan. I want him to be able to get the experience and continue to ascend, right? But if Sean Ryan's a little bit better than Jordan Morgan, I have no problem, even though he's a first-round pick, sitting on the bench and letting Sean Ryan take those number 1 reps. That's just me personally. And the reason being is, like, I know most organizations, and the Packers probably don't truly see this, although they talk about it all the time. Once you're drafted, everybody's got a clean slate. Now, I know people roll their eyes. I truly see it that way. I want the best 11 on the freaking field. I don't care if they were a first-round pick, golden bonus baby, or if they were undrafted. Imagine if we'd approached it that way with Tramon Williams back in the day. He's not getting that pick 6 in Atlanta and setting the tone right before halftime in that playoff game to propel us all that momentum going throughout the playoffs, winning the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really look at the draft pick as much, other than if we're trying to predict the roster, boy, there's precedent for it. As Mark Tauscher always says, who, by the way, was a 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin. He said 7th-round picks have to constantly prove they belong. First-round picks have to constantly prove they don't belong. And it's so true. It really is. It's just like Isaiah Simmons, who's on the roster now, right? If he was so bad as everybody said he was at the other stops, why is he still in the league? He's a number 8 overall pick, They seen that upside for sure. But I love this quote right here. You guys got anything to add to that? I love where Matt's headspace is here on the receivers.
I mean, I think it goes really well just with this mentality. Like, Tim, I believe, was it you that mentioned that today in the text thread that it seems like they're not messing around at this time of year, that they're all ball, and that it's not like they're not letting them kind of dip their toe in. They're saying, jump in, boys, because we're going and we're strapping up and we're playing for a championship. Does that kind of fit what you're seeing out there?
That's the attitude. It was kind of surprising to me yesterday being out there. Because like I said, I've been blessed the last 2 seasons in a row to be able to attend pretty much every single training camp practice that's open to the public. And the past couple of years, the vibe was totally different compared to what I've seen in the last 48 hours over there. And that's from staff to the players to everybody involved. You've got veterans that are demanding a lot from the rookies and the young guys. You've got coaches that are running everybody hard right out of the gate. We can talk about there's no pads and all this. Yeah, that's true. We're not going, contact, full contact or anything, but these guys are going close to full speed, and they're working up a sweat and they're getting right to work. There is no effing around this year at all.
No. Ed Madden in the chat said, if Sean Ryan's willing to take 8 to 10 million average annual value next year, would you re-sign him? I would not. And the reason being is you're kind of projecting the offensive line out right now. Now, hear me out on this. I was thinking about this earlier today. I was listening to Wildy and Tausch, and they were talking about the offensive line and how it's going to shake out, and specifically Rasheed Walker. It's obvious now, and unless something drastically changes, the Packers are not going to give Elgton Jenkins that extra guaranteed money, right? We've kind of talked about that ad nauseum. If that plays out that way, we talked about Elgton Jenkins' contract structure, they're looking to lower that cap number next year or possibly move on. I mean, the reality is his cap hit next year is $24.8 million, okay? The dead cap attached is only $4.8 million. So you could free up $20 million in cap space. What if their plan is actually to go into this season, let Jordan Morgan compete in training camp with Rasheed Walker at left tackle? If Rasheed Walker beats him out for left tackle and they push through this season, you got Jordan Morgan who can play right guard, and then you got Anthony Belton, an offensive tackle that you drafted in the second round, right? What if the plan is play Elgton at center this year? This is cold-blooded in my best Chappelle show version of Rick James, all right? Cold-blooded. So imagine if the plan is let Elgton play center this year, right? From left to right, Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elgton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, Zach Tom, Anthony Belton, your swing tackle, Sean Ryan, your swing guard. And let's say it's an audition for Rasheed Walker to make top money. Well, we talked about you're not going to pay, more than three offensive linemen top money. That's why it's like Rasheed Walker's the odd man out because of Elgton Jenkins. What if you did move on from Elgton Jenkins after this year? You free up $20 million in cap. You take a chunk of that and pay Rasheed Walker $17 to $18 million per. You got a younger guy on the blind side of Jordan Love, locked up long term, and now your top 3 offensive linemen paid are Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, and Zach Tom. And now what you've got is who's going to play center. Remember what was said last year, that Zach Tom was they said he was a Pro Bowl tackle, an all-pro guard, and a Hall of Fame center is what they thought they had in Zach Tom. What if that's the plan? What if the plan is to kick Zach Tom into center, right, and let Anthony Belton take over at tackle, or Jordan Morgan, whichever one seems fit, and either Anthony Belton will go to guard or play tackle, vice versa, and then you lock up Rasheed Walker. I just thought of that earlier today, and I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, especially if Rasheed Walker goes out this year and he just dominates at left tackle. What if he improves the run blocking and he puts himself on the same level as Zach Tom? Because the only thing missing between the two, the only difference between those two players is Zach Tom is as good or better a run blocker as he is a pass blocker, but he's already considered a block. What's your all's take on that? Jacob, what do you think about that?
I mean, I like that idea. To me, that would make me feel a lot better about the depth and the draft capital that we did spend on Belton and Morgan. And honestly, that to me, would be that epitome of having the top 5, the best 5 out there. So, that's what Joseph is saying here. I think that we'll likely move off of Elgton next season if we were to make that switch. So that'd be a little interesting there. But what do you think, Tim?
He also, Tim, he went on to say, Joseph did, he said that would explain why we didn't draft a center this past draft, which was heavy in positional value there. And I think we would agree with the way our draft board looked. We were expecting the old cowboy from, what was it, Arkansas State or whatever? Joe, was it Jacob Bayer? Am I thinking right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So anyway, what do you think about that, Tim?
I think we still haven't recovered from the missing out on Creed Humphrey, right? I mean, obviously, so maybe the plan has changed, and I think there's some validity to your point. You know, why not have Big E hold it down this year? That way you're not studying any growth at your guard positions. You've got Zach Tom, who can play anywhere on that offensive line, might even be able to line up at tight end if we needed him to. I mean, guy's one of the best offensive players on our team. So I think there's, you got a legitimate point there, Clay. I will say this, regardless of what the plan is, maybe the plan is to see how camp goes and to see, who's going to identify themselves as that potential, backup center, at least to Big E this year, until we can get eventually, a guy like Zach Tom to settle in at that spot. Maybe that's why we gave him the bag, right?
Yeah. Blake B says in the chat, would that explain why Tom didn't get number one in the league right tackle money? That crossed my mind too. His centers get paid quite a bit less than tackles. And I was expecting Zach Tom. You guys remember I was talking about $25 million. I pay him $25 million per. And when you
Is that why he took the sweetheart deal, the team friendly deal? Because he figured out they're paying me like a center. I'm going to be a center next year. So
yeah, and we're just simply speculating. We have no insider information, obviously, but that might make sense. I don't know. Time will tell for sure. I love the way the chat's thinking here tonight. I appreciate y'all bringing this up. Ivan in the chat says Zach Tom said yesterday he does not want to play center. He only wanted to play right tackle. I did not hear that. That's important information. I didn't hear that in his presser. So appreciate that info there, Ivan. You the man. All right, let's move it along to the defensive side of the ball. Unless you guys got anything else for offense, anything at all y'all want to hit on offense before we move on? Good. All right, let's move on to defense. And this one came in from our buddy Tim. Really cool shot here, as you can see. Our boy Rashawn Gary. I better mute it because there's going to be language, but love one-on-one time here. Coach DeMarcus Covington working with Rashawn Gary as a special teams group works on punts in the background. This is awesome, Tim. It's a great shot. As you can see, Coach Covington working with Rashawn Gary. This is what you hired him for, man. You got a guy who's got defensive coordinator experience. He also worked under Bill Belichick for, I want to say, damn near a decade as he was a receiver in college and worked his way up through several position groups, and he settled in as a defensive assistant in New England. And they had some darn good defenses while he was an assistant on that staff. So love to see him working with Gary, man. This is a great grab here. Tim, did you pick up anything? Just being that close to him? Obviously don't give out the secret recipe here, but what did it feel like there?
Just the dynamic between Rashawn and Coach Covington stood out to me right away. You can tell they've got a good connection and a good rapport, which is good because, Coach Covington is new. This is his first year with us. Rashawn's been here for a while. It almost makes me kind of think that maybe he pulled Rashawn to the side, during mini camp or OTAs or something and said, hey, you're my guy. I need you to be a leader. I need you to step up. And I think he's kind of taken him under his wing. This is 2 days in a row that I've seen him pulling just Rashawn and Rashawn alone off to the side to just work on some stuff. This could also, not to speculate while speculating, this could lend some credit to your theory that perhaps a guy like Rashawn or LVN gets kicked inside from time to time this year. And they're trying to mix things up. So, maybe Coach Covington's working with him on just some different technique and stuff like that. But I have seen a lot of one-on-one time these past couple of days with those two.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because you shared this clip too.
Yeah.
And notice
this is my favorite thing I shot all day right here.
Notice the second rep. I'm going to try to go full screen if I can. All right. Notice the second rep, Jacob. See if you see who lines up with who right here. Not this one, but the next one as they're getting the dummy set up. All right, we're good. Look at the two guys that line up together right here. Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary. Yep. And that's Gary on his other shoulder there. Tim, as you were talking, part of me is just like, I'm telling you, last year, guys, Gary, I think he had 26 or 27 snaps at 3-tech. Okay. So they kicked him inside a little bit. And there were people that was kind of making fun of NFL Network because on the top 100, they had him listed as a defensive tackle. They said defensive tackle. They said he moved to defensive tackle. And everybody's laughing. I'm going, actually guys that trended a little more in that direction than it has in the past. Now, you went from a 34 to a 4-3, so it's going to be a little more natural as opposed to going from outside linebacker pass rusher in a 34 jam front to a 4-3 defensive end where you're playing more 4 tech and 4 eye from time to time. If you're
Remember,
playing,
we've heard Coach Covington say we want to mix in some 3-4 looks, right?
yep.
So could that be part of the plan too? They mix
It
in that
could be.
34 look with Rashawn and that tech.
That was what they did in New England. If
Mhm.
I had to put money on it, Tim, I would say we're not going to play any 34 or very minimal 34. But in New England, that's what Bill Belichick did for so long, is what they called a multiple hybrid front. They would go from a 4-3 to a 3-4 constantly. But Jacob, what do you think about that thought, man? Do you think there's a chance that Gary ends up inside next to Kenny from time to time? I mean, maybe that 26 snaps at defensive tackle for Rashawn Gary last year, maybe it jumps to 40 or 50. What do you think, man?
Honestly, I don't. I think that if there was going to be an edge / defensive end player that was going to move a little more inside, I would push more towards LVN getting those snaps just because of his overall stature and the pure power that he seems to have. I do think that it's not going to be, man, Stackhouse is big. I just seeing him run past. He's a big dude. I think it'd be interesting. I like the fact that they had him have, that 20 plus reps in there. I hope that they replicate that again. I just do think that a guy like LVN is just a little more fits the bill in that role a little bit better. But we don't need to go back to the other video, but I was going to ask before we switched, what do you think they're working on there? That was Covington trying to show him how to like stop maybe like a chop block, or maybe just like guys that are blocking in the wash? Is he trying to just take them on before they get to his knees, before they just make first contact and back off? You know what I'm saying? Because it looked like they were
weird,
almost
right?
trying to.
He threw that foam at him and he smacked it down low to the ground, right, and then shed it off. Coach Lynn, of course, I've already got the clip closed out, but maybe Coach Lynn, if he did see it, he would have a better idea of what that was. I think that's as good an answer as I have, Jacob, is maybe looking to defend that chop block a little bit,
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Coach Lynn said, "What's up, fellas? Sorry I'm late." Coach, see, when you're not in here, dude, the whole damn thing falls apart, bud. Appreciate you. Jeez, me. Nah, welcome in, man. Appreciate you swinging through.
Make sure you guys go to the Patreon too if you want to see this exact video full in its unedited form, and you can hear Rashawn Gary's vocal leadership on full display. Make sure you check us out on Patreon. It's up there.
Put the kids to bed, though, right, Tim? You never know what you might hear.
That's right. There's some choice language in there. It's grown men working,
Yeah, Jacob, I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you there, though, man, because I was thinking the same thing. It's like, what is that? What are they actually working on there? So anyway, but yeah, so you're right, though, man. Listen, we got some big old boys on that defensive front. And Brenton Cox Jr. right now, he's the one closest right here to the screen, right? Dude, he looks like he's thickened up again. I'm telling you, man, this is the year I think Brenton Cox Jr. passes up Kingsley Enagbare, me personally. And I'd hate to see it, but if one of those top edge rushers go down and they miss significant time during the year, I feel pretty darn good about Brenton Cox Jr. stepping in there and playing ball, man. I really do. So Deadfish says on 3rd and long, I'm looking for LVN and Gary inside, Cox and Sorrell on the outside or something like that. If Kenny plays at the level he did last year, Deadfish, and we then know, okay, it wasn't the foot injury. He's just kind of coming down the stretch here, getting, over 30 years old now, and him playing over 10 years in the league, coming in the league so young, I would be okay with that. But if Kenny can return to kind of old Kenny form, I would much rather see it be Kenny Clark in the middle, right? LVN and Brenton Cox Jr. on the outside, and then maybe Gary lining up with Kenny. I would rather see that rather than LVN and Gary in the middle and take Kenny off the field. But again, time will tell if Father Time is catching up with Kenny. I know this, Tim, you have mentioned this in the tweet. Edgerrin Cooper out there working with the edge defenders too, right? Cool, man.
Yeah.
You seen him line up. So they actually had him doing some pass rush drills here. Is that what it was?
I caught it just on my way out of the stands because I rarely sit in the stands at Ray Nitschke Field. I'm usually by that fence that you guys see in the background, trying to get some of those shots that you were seeing. But I caught this out of the corner of my eye when I was stepping out of the bleachers. I said, oh, look at here. We got Edge Cooper working with the edge guys. You can see it's kind of a new for this year. You see they have it looks like either the pass rush lanes or those might even be the technique assignments. They have it painted on the field there. There's also some target points for like maintaining the edge. sort of scenario. So they had Cooper over there running on some of those edge rush drills with Coach Covington and Coach Ogabasi over there. So I just thought that was interesting. Kind of caught my eye.
Yeah, and as Holmes says here, Jacob, Gary looks much thicker than young Frosty there, and Cooper put on 20 pounds this offseason. So the 20 pounds, obviously, it could be multifaceted, right? We talked about how most mock linebackers were somewhere between 6'2" and 6'4", 240 pounds. That was kind of the ideal weight. So when you heard he blimped up to 240, you think maybe we're going to kick him the mock overall. But also, it didn't really cross my mind like, hey, maybe we will rush the passer with him a little bit more, which he was effective at 220 last year. But what do you think about Cooper working with the edge defenders here, man? This is probably more about that A-gap mug and that blitz, right? Those scrapes that we ran last year.
Yeah, for sure. But a part of me can't help but fantasize about if we're throwing some kind of Micah Parsons stuff going in there. Well, all of a sudden, like, we realize that he is a really good edge defender / just pass rusher / blitzer, and just in general. I really do think that we didn't see that from him a lot last year, but in the small doses that we did, just like everything else Cooper did, he made it look easy and he made it look effortless. And if there is a part of that, I mean, man, I'm getting really too excited here because we think about all these different parts and components, much like the offense, when you're like, well, who are they going to stop? If Reed's on all cylinders, Watson, but same thing on defense. If these guys take a step, like I know that we've been talking about guys like LVN and Gary moving inside, I'm not giving up on Devontae Wyatt, and what he does is he takes a progression.
That's the person we didn't even mention.
Didn't even mention him.
That's your best pass rusher on the interior. It's just crazy. So I was trying to keep the conversation around why would we take Kenny off the field, but Devontae's going to be our top pass rushing defensive tackle. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, man. Yeah. And as Joseph says here too, just wait till Oliver's out there rushing the edge too, man. Yep. I mean, I was really hoping we could see him in camp, Tim, because when we did his chalk talk, his college tape breakdown, my goodness, man, he was so twitchy and just looked like he reminded me of a basketball player. Like, some guys just play the game of football and it's like they find the football and they know how to time the leap and bat the passes down and this and that. It was all over his tape. It's just like, man, that dude just seems like he's, for lack of a better way of saying it, good at the football. You know what I mean? So love to see him on the field soon too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Deadfish says Cooper's 240, Gary 275. Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Jacob, you're going to get excited over this clip as our buddy Baz over there at Basarsky Productions tweeted this out. Great rep from Javon Bullard out of the nickel. Manned up on Kraft on a crosser. Bull struggled with this a bit last year. Big year two in store, man. Everybody has kind of written Bullard off, We seen Evan Williams take that safety job from him, and then we seen Bullard play a little bit better in the slot than he did safety. What if Bullard comes out this year and he's the player that we thought he was when we got excited about him being drafted, Jake? That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, this has become personal with me because I can tell Ryan is not a fan of Bullard. Ryan does not like Bullard. He's beating him down in the dirt pretty hard. So I always have, you guys, I always got my guys, my late round guys. Ryan's always been that way. I've worked around Ryan or helped, around the podcast for many, many years now. So I need this one. He got Zach Tom. He nailed a bunch of them. I got to have Bullard make a comeback here in year two so I can hold my head high and have some bragging rights. But no, all jokes aside, I really am not ready to give up on him. I mean, he's that second-round draft pick, absolute stud out of Georgia. The guy's just, he looks like a baller. Maybe the game was a little too much, and I really do think that there's a lot of credence in what Emilio talked about, how the guy was constantly being put in positions that he was not training for previously in that week, and he wasn't ever able to settle down and really find what his niche was in this team. I hope that Hafley has understood that, hey, we got to find, much like I think with like Isaiah, was it Simmons?
Yeah.
The guy just, and I don't want to make excuses for him, but he never really found a home. He was so multi-versatile and multifaceted that they felt like they could move him all over the place. But the thing is that when you're a young, struggling, defensive player in this league, it's really hard to just be moved around like a chess piece when you don't have the time to get comfortable with one solid position and then let your body, your technique, your skills, all that catch up. You know what I mean? So it's, I've got a lot of hope, man. I really do. I need that bragging rights, man.
Gotta have it. Tim, what do you think, man? You think Bullard's going to rebound this year?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, thank God we have him. I mean, we'd never have this clip.
Thick.
It's a
right?
great point.
Wasn't that where that started? Coach Half talking about Javon Bullard?
It was, yeah.
So,
Was that
I'm
about
with
Bull?
you. Yeah, that was.
It was Bullard. Yep. Yep.
So I'm with you, Jacob, man. I agree. I'm not down on Javon Bullard. I'm ready to see another year and see what the progress looks like with him. And to your point about guys getting mixed and matched a lot of times, I'm not going to talk or speak ill of coaching or coaches or coaching staffs, but there are times when, staffs inherit a player and they don't know what the hell to do with them. And then the player ends up suffering, and it's not the coach's fault necessarily. It could be scheme. It could be situation. You could run into a crowded room, whatever. And so some guys fall by the wayside. I think if they have a clear path for Javon Bullard and it's, fluctuating between, playing safety and playing a little bit of, slot corner, I think that's fine. That's enough for him right now as he develops. You're not asking him to do too much crazy. Other than last year, we were in that spot where we needed him to start at safety in a pinch, and he wasn't able to prepare for that. I think, in his second year in the league, I think he's going to, have that experience and be able to handle the adversity a little bit better this year. So I'm not willing to quit on him yet. I'm willing to see another year of his development.
Yeah, and for me, like I used to look at players like almost from a kind of how PFF looks at players, like this is their grade, this is how good they are, right? And some people look at it kind of from what I call the Madden effect, right? It's like what's their overall rating, right? Coaches don't look at players like that. They don't.
Yeah.
They look at players like what can they add to the team? What do they do well? And how can we put them in a position to do that? And I think that's what Halfley did with Bullard last year was he noticed he's a little late on his keys at the safety position, and they were kind of forced into letting him play the slot, which he did at Georgia, right? He played both safety and slot corner at Georgia. And then when you seen him in the slot, what did he do well? Man, he could set the hell out of the edge. He could play the run strong. Like, that's what he does well. And how many times do we see him blow up, bubble screens, things like that, attack the ball carrier. So that's why I want to see him stay in the slot. And that's why I kind of am anticipating him not starting, because if Hobbs is going to be your starting slot corner, but we know, man, we're one injury away from Hobbs having to play predominantly outside and Bullard's back in the slot. I just don't think they're going to want to have a second-round pick on the bench for sure. So Dan Mullen with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, not looking forward to Wilkins joining the Lions. Not announced, but it's going to happen. So that's a great point, Dan, which kind of makes you think, why would the Raiders just cut him outright and not try to trade him to a team like the Lions, who have just been decimated at defensive tackle with injuries this early training camp? But if you guys don't know what he's talking about, Christian Wilkins was let go by the Raiders. You guys know he was like the top defensive tackle free agent a couple of years ago. So I went and checked, just pulled the PFF numbers, and it's not everything, but 74.7 PFF grade. He was the 21st highest graded defensive tackle. And his run defense grade, 80.2. He was the third best run defending defensive tackle, according to PFF. His pass rush grade, 66.9, which isn't horrible, right? Not bad, really. It's kind of above average. So, thank you for the super chat, Dan. Appreciate you, buddy. I hate to agree with you there, but I'm going to have to. That seems like that'd be right down Detroit's alley right there, boys, to go sign him, which you'll notice they keep making these kind of signings, like what they did with Zadarius Smith, and it's easy to go see he's not on the roster anymore. Yeah, but that could have been cap that was rolled over into the next year. That he obviously wasn't a part of your future plans. That stuff starts to add up. I don't think
could be Zadarius Smith just playing for a new team every season.
Exactly. But I don't
his
think
way around the league.
I don't think Christian Wilkins is going to come in and play for a minimum either. That's going to cost him a chunk of change. So hopefully that does not happen. As I think it was, Caldwell Corner mentioned it earlier. Raiders released Christian Wilkins, 29 years old, big defensive tackle. We got the money. What do you think about that possibility of bringing him in? I would be okay with it. However, if you're looking for a three-tech of the future, him being 29 years old,
What do you think about this?
Yeah, Deadfish said last offseason, Wilkins signed a 4-year, $110 million deal with $84.75 million guaranteed with Vegas. Now, that $84 million guaranteed, Deadfish, I guarantee you that was not guaranteed. I guarantee you that was not actual. That's what you call practical, right? That if he makes the roster, he's guaranteed that money type thing. We'd have to go look at the actual structure of the contract. So that's where the guarantee gets a little bit cloudy, and we try to specify signing bonus to other guarantees. But yeah, listen, do I hope they would sign him? There's a reason the Raiders let him go, and we do know they have been a bad organization. However, he's 29 years old, So now you're going to have Kenny $30 million against the cap next year. You bring in Christian Wilkins. Let's say that number is $20 million against the cap, right? But now you got $50 million tied up into two players that are both 30 years old. I don't know how that would work, And we do have the cap space this year now, and then maybe that's what Caldwell's talking about there. If you can get him on a 1 year, $10 million deal, and then you just move on next year, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. You got the cap space. Go ahead, Jake. What were you going to say, man?
No, it's just kind of in that same vein. Just because of the fact that I was going to say Oakland, that Vegas, the Raiders pipeline to Green Bay seems paved a million times over, like with Bisaccia, with Hobbs, with Jacobs, with
that's a good point.
Who went over there from
We've
us?
Had Jordy Nelson go out there. We've had James
Jordy
Jones
Nelson,
go out there. Devontae Adams went there.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
We also had Stokes go there.
Yeah.
If you're trying to draw a parallel there, though, Jacob, I feel like the Keyshawn Nixon and the Nate Hobbs thing, there were ties to Bisaccia. Christian Wilkins never did play for Bisaccia. Not that they still won't do that, but that's the only thing I would kind of be like, I don't know if that truly matters that he played for the Raiders for. I didn't realize it was just 1 year. I was thinking he was out there for 2. That's wild that he just played 1 year and they cut him loose. I mean, that's absolutely insane there. But speaking of Nate Hobbs, Baz over at Basarsky Productions tweeted this out. Great rep by the Packers cornerback Nate Hobbs breaks on the speed out from Wicks perfectly. So you got Hobbs is starting to – he continues to kind of turn heads a little bit, man. I want to say at the end here we'll have another tweet where they actually talked about a pass breakup he had a little later in practice as well. Tim, did you get a vibe from Nate Hobbs in terms of at practice? And I've got a soundbite we'll play from the locker room here.
Oh, we got the BTA live on PTA soundbite.
Let's just go to it. Let's go. We're going to have to create this as a drop, guys. Jacob, you're going to love this. So this is what Nate Hobbs said. And if you got kids in the room, get them out of the room, all right? He said, and this was at Hog NFL tweeted it out. So shout out to him. Said, I'm running around with a pack of dogs, belt to ass. So here we go. Let's hear it.
The rest of the defense, I think I'm running around with a pack of dogs. We run to the ball. We try and get the ball out. We try and belt to ass. BTA. I'm running around with a pack of dogs. We run to the ball. We try and get the ball out. We try and belt to ass. BTA.
So what we need to do is we need to clip that and tell everybody that he actually said belt to ass PTA. Okay, that's actually what it said.
There you go.
Hey, shout out to Nate Hobbs, too. He took some time this morning, stopped and said hello on his way into practice. He didn't have to do that. Good dude, man.
It's my understanding, if people were right on X, they said the reason him and Carrington were working out together is they've known each other since high school, or he's known Carrington since Carrington was in high school or something.
He's known Carrington since Carrington was 16 years old, I believe.
That's awesome, man.
Yep. Worked out at the same facility together.
Jacob, we talk about all the time, and we're building a team, not collecting talent, man. There's always some kind of tie in there for sure, dude. So love to see it. Nate Hobbs has impressed me. To me, he brings a little bit of an edge. People will probably take this the wrong way. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But you know who he reminds me of as a person, as a human being? Just his persona, the way he carries himself? Tupac. Yeah, Tupac just had this aura about him, like, I don't care what anybody thinks. And he's just got this little –
yeah, our guys better wake up with their piss hot, like I said before. So.
Not Tupac LaFleur, Tim. I'm talking about the real Tupac. Okay, so just – I don't know. There's a little bit of an edge to him, you know. Like Keyshawn has got a little bit of an edge, but then he's got that funny personality in the back. Nate Hobbs seems like he's going to bring a little bit of intensity, and I think that's good for that room because we've had Ja dancing around, doing all the everything, bringing that type of energy. I think Nate Hobbs is going to toughen up this defense a little bit. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I actually watched this interview. It was the only thing I got to listen to on the way from work to home. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, Tim's going to clip that. He's going to clip that so
We
hard.
gotta have it.
I really did like the way that just his mentality, like you said, Clayton, he just seems to have a really good energy about him. They asked him, they're like, how do you like Green Bay? He's like, Green Bay is Green Bay, man. He's like, it forces you to get in the playbook. And I love that. He basically said, like, yeah, he loves the fans, he loves the aura, he loves the vibe, and he's here to play football. And that's what I appreciate about him. And it sounds like that he actually performed pretty decent on the perimeter. Coach Lynn is saying that. I saw other people in the chat saying that. I even did hear. I listened to the Coach LaFleur interview as well, and he had nothing but good things to say. And obviously, Coach is going to put a little fluff, but lately he doesn't do much fluff. He's a little more. Two-pack LaFleur, so it's encouraging to say the least that he's actually showing up. And I was just going to bring it up, so I'm glad you brought there. Me and Tim's guy Omar Brown, love that.
Yeah,
definitely.
That
Tim, I
was
see
fire.
you seen another video I missed from you earlier. We'll have to put that up here in a second, and we'll kind of round it out with that. That's awesome. Shot of Stackhouse there. So I just thought we'd mention this since we were talking Nate Hobbs. Matt Schneidman had tweeted out, defense dominates the 2-minute period. Nate Hobbs pass breakup on an out intended for Wicks to win versus the ones. Then Valentine, my boy, interception on Isaiah Simmons' tipped Willis pass. So Malik Willis, where's AFAM? AFAM, you ready to cut Willis now? To win for the 2s. Omar Brown, INT of Elgersman down the middle to win for the 3. So the defense dominated. It sounds like the offense was doing some push-ups today, but, hey, that's exciting right there, man. That really is. To see, like I said, Hobbs dominating versus the 1s, Valentine dominating versus the 2s. That's what you want to hear, man, because that seemed to be one of the big concerns this year is what's this DB room going to look like. So
it's how you work your way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Omar Brown looking good against, Taylor Elgersma with the 3s, that's going to get him some reps with the 2s. And if you shine with the 2s, you might mess around, find yourself running around with the 1s and getting opportunities there as well. This is why camp is, it's the best time of year. It really is. You get to see your team being born. You get to see the formulation of, what your team for this season is going to be. And, seeing these guys come up like this is just so fun to see.
Definitely. Training camp is a great time of year, man. And listen, if you're seeing people on your timeline be negative about what's going on in training camp, mute them.
Yeah.
This is the time of year that everybody should be optimistic. Everybody should be excited about football being back, man. Don't let them drag you down, dude.
Life is too short to be miserable, man.
I had somebody climb in the mentions earlier, Tim. I think you seen that exchange, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. I hadn't even blocked him yet, but it's coming. I can't remember what I said, but it was just a smart aleck comment. It just they're miserable, man. They're absolutely miserable. I think I put a tweet out is what it was on Brian Gutekunst. And I said, let me find it here real quick.
Gutekunst.
Yeah, I said,
nice. Nailed it.
I said Packers GM on Christian Watson. He's a freak. He did a run test the other day and looked great. It's an ACL, so we're going to take our time with him, but he's pressing to get out there, right? So I said Packers GM because I ran out of characters on the tweet, right? Yeah. So I had to jam it in there. You know who the Packers GM is.
Have you tried to type out Brian Gutekunst on tweet? Yeah, bruh, relax.
So some knucklehead said, I like how you called him the Packers GM instead of his actual name, LMAO, like what? And I just ran out of characters.
Yeah,
poopy. That's all.
You should have just told him to
sit your butt outside.
That's the type of people you run into is like, if the only time I hear from you on social media or in the YouTube comments is when you're trying to dunk on somebody, you're a troll. You're not contributing. You're not wanting to have a conversation. You're not wanting to talk ball. You just want to be a troll. I don't. Why would I? It's literally like somebody coming to your door and going, hey, I got a bucket of trash out here. Answer your door. I want to dump it on your head. And you keep answering. Like, what are we even doing here? So anyway, this was good news here, I think, Tim, and you were there, boots on the ground. I want to get your take. Matt Schneidman said Quay Walker will only do walkthrough stuff after being activated yesterday, LaFleur says. So we're one step closer, right, to getting Quay back on the field. And I'll say this, man, the ankle bothered him last year before he hurt it too, if you'll remember.
Yep.
That clean out, maybe this changes everything, dude. What do you think?
It could be. And I actually got a chance to speak with him he had a brief moment to himself at practice today and talked to me for about a minute. And I asked him how the ankle was. He said he feels good. It's just a process that he's got to go through right now. Heavily taped up, obviously. But the thing that I did notice is, today he was just doing walkthrough rehab work with the training staff, but Quay was engaged with the defense the entire time. So they'd be 20, 30 yards downfield, running with the ones, working on 2-minute drill. And Quay was engaged, in his spot behind that line, still diagnosing the play, understanding what they were running. So he's focused and committed. So I think you're right, man. After this little cleanup surgery and full recovery from that, he was in a walking boot not too long ago and on a little scooter not too long ago. So to see him out there with a helmet on and, the ankles taped up and he's out there running a little bit, moving around a little bit, that's a good sign this point of the year. For sure.
Yeah. Madden says they said about a week Quay will be able to go. That'd be great. Go ahead, Jake.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yesterday we saw a video of Scoot running around. I don't mean to change the subject, but it just was in my head. Is it? I don't want to jinx it. I know, Ryan's called people out for this, and he just looks so far along. He's riding a bike. You know what I mean? He's riding a bike and he's riding it well. And because Tim won't brag about it, Scoot went out of his way, changed a little direction, went past Tim, gave him a little dab. We got a picture of it, photo evidence. So basically remembered Tim from the year before. So I'm telling you guys may not understand that Tim is our actual on the field sideline guy, and he's making actual inroads with these players. It's actually really, really impressive, and I'm just proud of him. So congrats.
Quay and Scoot are my guys. I met them both their rookie year, and I think that's kind of how we kind of formed a little bit of a friendship or a bond when you run into each other out there. This is the one here. Shout out to NBC 26 that got this. So,
right there. That's our boy Tim. Look at Tim in the shot. My man. Love it.
Here's a guy.
That's actually the tweet that the smartass commented on too, and I had to slap him down. So that was anyway, 2 for 1 there. I love this one, man. I don't know how I missed it earlier, Tim, since we were still talking defense there. And Jacob, you're going to love this.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Stackhouse.
Turn the sound up on this one, man. Come on. Let it ride.
No language, right? No language.
God, he's big.
I don't think so. No.
Here we go. Look at Stackhouse, dude.
Oh. Look at his calves, bro. Them's are tree trunks. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine lining up with that, dude? Oh,
that's a big man.
and that shot is awesome, by the way, man. What an awesome
this is
shot.
perfect.
Yeah, let's go back one more time. Let's stack off the ball here.
Jeez.
Yeah, I would hate to line up across from him.
It's insane.
You notice that too? That's Coach Ogabasi, or VO as they call him. He will make them start if they mess up one rep, or if their toe is wrong, or they've got their hand placement wrong. He's reloading them and make them go again. There isn't none of this rotate to the back of the line. He's making them start over every time until they grasp the concept. Yeah. And this started, like I said, yesterday, day 1, minute 1. It was this type of execution and intensity, and it's only going to get more intense as we go through camp. So really cool to see.
The thing about Stackhouse too is like he's not fat. I expected him to be a little more Gilbert Brownish. He's just, that dude he's trimmed down too, dude. He's cut up pretty good to be a big boy like that. Go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say, dude, literally. So if you can put plate, watch how he just drops down to his stance. That's not a fat man doing that. That is an agile. Look, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, real quick.
Like very quick, and he's ready. You see him just. I'm really excited about him, dude. I expect him to make this team. I do. I think that'd be my UDFA for sure to make this team. I just love the way that he looks. He looks like he's hungry, man. Get him.
It just hit me. Didn't Stackhouse play with Wyatt at Georgia? Am I thinking right?
Yeah,
Brinson, Stackhouse, and Wyatt.
Yeah, they won. They
got a gang of Bulldogs over there in that room.
Stackhouse won 2 natties. I think Wyatt won one of those two with him, if I remember correctly. And then you got Quay too, right?
Quay was on those teams. Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Well, Georgia Bulldog connection. That's a great shot, though, Tim. Appreciate you putting that up there.
Coach Len was asking, how did he not get drafted? Wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, the the kind of speculation was that Brinson would not get drafted and Stackhouse would, and then it somehow got flipped, and they both ended up on the Packers.
We were talking about Stackhouse early on, first, second round grade on him, if I'm not mistaken.
That was the year before, man. The year before college football started, his last year in college. Some people had him projected to be a first-round pick. Yeah. And the only thing I can come up with is the narcolepsy. That's it, man. And that's not to knock him. That's not to be inconsiderate, but that's the only thing that might have.
That was Brinson.
Brinson had narcolepsy?
No, it's Stackhouse.
Yeah.
I thought it was Stackhouse.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, Chad, fact checked us.
I'll check.
Somebody said, "Oh, here, maybe Holmes was maybe I'm the idiot boy." He says he has sleep apnea.
I don't think it was sleep apnea. Let me see here. Let me make sure he's got narcolepsy. Maybe it was just sleep apnea. Georgia football's Nazir Stackhouse and his long struggle with
diagnosed with narcolepsy during his first year at Georgia.
Yeah, I've got sleep apnea because I got 3 chins. All right, I got a mask that I never wear. All right, so it's narcolepsy is literally it's kind of a big deal. Like you can just fall asleep driving, no reason, just you're out. Right. So,
that's crazy.
And maybe they do have some kind of game day medication to help with that. I don't know, but nonetheless, Rob Demovsky kind of summed up the whole practice here. That's it for day 2 of practice. The highlights: the defense dominated the 2-minute drill. Nate Hobbs with a 3rd down pass breakup. Carrington Valentine's INT off a tip. Malik Willis pass by Isaiah Simmons. Omar Brown had an interception versus Taylor Elgersma, and it lasted 1 hour and 54 minutes. They usually shoot for about an hour and a half, don't they, Tim? So that one went over a little bit, it sounds like. So got some extra work.
Definitely. They started a little late yesterday and got about 95 minutes in or something like that. So today was a little bit more on time, and they went a little bit longer. And you know how that's all the NFLPA and the CBA and everything, what they're allowed to do. But I'm sure we'll see some longer practices here later on.
And we got 32 Joe Rogans in the chat giving us the cure for narcolepsy. And
I was going to say.
Every one of them are illegal, guys. Calm down. All right, this is a family show.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
All right, let's talk about the last topic of the day. What's that, Jacob?
I said if you need a hookup, I'd call Athens' mom.
There you go. All right.
She's got all of it.
Last topic of the day. Oh, boy, yeah. Why do I always think of Steve Buscemi when I see that picture? I don't know why.
Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison when he puts the lip on.
Leans back. Oh, man. All right. So, speaking of Steve Buscemi, wouldn't he look good in these unis right here, boys? As we got the 1923 classic.
Jacob, I know who you're thinking would look good in these uniforms. Charles Buckets Goldenberg would look phenomenal in those uniforms.
Yes, he would.
Exactly. What do you guys think, man? I'm digging it, dude. They got the stripes on the sleeves and everything. The leather helmets. Me and Aaron Rodgers, our Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, were messaging back and forth last night, or maybe, I think it was last night or the night before. And I said, I think they're going leather helmets like Illinois. And I'm glad they did. I think this is going to look absolutely sick, guys.
Did you see the video how they made them too? How they're individually hand painted. Like
I wish we could show those videos, man. That would be
me too.
Awesome.
Guys, go check that out on that's on Packers.com, I believe.
Yeah, and the best thing you'll see is the reaction video. It's the most emotion I've ever seen out of Romeo Dobbs in my life, and I think all he does is, "Ooh, those are nice." It's just good to see him have some emotion. I honestly am in love with these uniforms. I think they're so freaking cool. You watch Tucker Kraft when he throws one on and he does the flex. He goes, "The flex was not needed." It's like, oh, it's so awesome.
I think this is definitely the best run of this scheme. You know, we saw these a couple of times, back in the 2010s. And we also saw a variant of this, I believe it was the 94 season, 75th anniversary season. Remember seeing Brett Favre running around in a variation of this uniform. I think this is the best version of it right here, the 1923 edition. We got the leatherhead look. I feel like they nailed the gold striping and the numbers. The tone looks really good with that blue. I think they knocked it out of the park, man.
The one criticism I've seen that I kind of can understand is the one that Coach Len said, and I've seen it with multiple others. It says, I don't like the pants. I wish there was a strip or something like that. Other than that, they're dope. I honestly, I've loved all of them over the years. There hasn't been an alternate uniform that I didn't love. I think they're all, even if they're gross looking, I love it.
No, I mean,
that's kind of the point, right? They're supposed to look like those crusty, dirty, old 1920s uniforms. Everyone wore brown pants back then, brown
Right,
or tan, right?
Can we just appreciate Tucker Kraft's ink for a second, man? I mean, they every one of them look like jailhouse tattoos, and I was just raised on that. I'm telling you right now, man.
It's true.
I swear, it's like he reminds me of one of my cousins that got out of the clink, making it to the family reunion for the first time in 8 years. You know what I'm saying? That's what he looks like.
He found a guy that specializes in making those types of tattoos where they're so good. He makes really, really good bad tattoos. Trust me, it's not as easy as you may think. I'm telling you.
Is that who does your buttocks tattoos, Jacob? In your
but I will tell you that I reached out to one of my buddies and he's like, I'll do it. And then his wife was like, nope, I get to tattoo his butt because they want to see me.
Might not be his wife much longer. Dan Mullen with the super chat said, I've got a couple Rugrats. Any advice for going to practice? Tim, you have the floor, sir, for a guy who's got a couple kids here. Hopefully they belong to Dan, but he's got a couple Rugrats he's going to be taking to camp practice. So what do you think, Tim? Any advice?
Get there early. That would be my number one advice, especially if you got the kiddos with you and you want to see the players do the bike ride and stuff like that. I would suggest arriving out there probably 2 hours at least prior to practice time, if not more, depending on what you guys really want to do. I know they start lining up pretty early in the morning for the bike rides by the locker room doors. Probably as early as 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, people line up sometimes. So if that's what you want to do, get there early. That's my main piece of advice. And then hang around the area of Armed Forces Drive and Oneida Street to kind of watch that main drag of the players coming in and out. And then work your way over to Nitschke Field and grab a seat in the bleachers and grab a snow cone from the street vendors over there. And like my wife is saying in the chat, bring hats, portable shade, lots of snacks. Water and stuff like that is okay to carry in at Ray Nitschke Field. If you've got kiddos and stuff, pack a cooler with some snacks and bring some hats and umbrellas for the shade, because shade is a premium out there when it's super hot, I can tell you.
There you go, Dan. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. Enjoy your time out there. Now, Packer Up said, just get a babysitter. Man, how selfish. You unbelievable, Packer Up.
Hey, he says,
great idea. Take the kids to family night. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Cheapest Packer ticket you'll ever find, $10. Can't beat it.
Love this shot right here, too, of the throwback helmet with the 1923 team behind them.
Is that Charles Buckets Goldenberg in the background?
I don't think it is. I feel like I should know who that is. I don't think it's not Cal Hubbard. I don't think Cal Hubbard came along yet in 23. When he came along, Cal Hubbard, you guys don't know, to the best of my knowledge, he's the only person in NFL history that is in the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame and Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, because he was an umpire after he retired from winning championships with Curly. Playing for the Packers. But I'm pretty sure that's Mike Michalski over Lambeau's shoulder there. There's Lambeau. Mike Michalski, another guard, small guard, but
is that Johnny Blood doing the gangster lean b-boy stance?
I don't think it is Tim. I couldn't figure out who that was.
Man, epic.
I couldn't tell if he was trying to hit on the cameraman or if he's trying to look tough. You know what I'm saying? But my man pulled both off at the same time. So Daniel in the chat said, that's Jason Bourne. Love it. All right, so one last thing here, a quick little recap. I love to just kind of go through and ask AI, hey, comb through the interwebs. Did we miss anything? So we probably covered everything here. Put it up on the Patreon group. If you guys want to join our Patreon community, it's the best way to support what we do here. $3 get you access to everything. It also gets you access to all the chats, the giveaways. Anyone who's a member in the Patreon group or a member here on YouTube, just hit join on YouTube as well. We're going to be giving away an autographed Dontavion Wicks rookie card this weekend. So make sure you're a member of one of those two aspects, and we'll put your name on the wheel, spin it, and give that away to one lucky viewer. This is what Tim was talking about, though, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Also, let me mention this real quick while I'm thinking about it. The Fantasy Football League. If you're a Patreon member, what we did last year was Patreon members, we're going to create a fantasy league, first come, first serve, first one that gets added in. Well, this year, those who were in the league last year, you're grandfathered in, okay? So if you were in the league last year and you want to be in the league this year, make sure you hop on Patreon as quick as possible and get entered in. Jacob's already got the site up and running and everything good to go for the fantasy league. but we're going to cut it off midnight Sunday because we got a bunch of people wanting to join and we got slots we need to fill. So if you're hearing my voice, please don't hesitate. If you were in the league last year and you want to be in it again this year, go to Patreon and go ahead and get signed up for the fantasy league. It's going to be an absolute blast. Did I miss anything there, Jacob, other than we're going to have a flow over league as well? Once that's full, if we got enough people to fill another league, we'll have a secondary league as well. You want to be in that top one, though, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. It's going to be a 14-man team right now. I think we have 5 or 6 that have for sure guaranteed that they're going to be in it. It's going to be super fun, man. It's going to be a super flex, full PPR, 2 defensive players. We tweaked the scoring from last year because it was a little bit wonky. People ended up having their last round of the playoffs in week 18, which is never ideal. So we switched it, pulled that over so that the last week of playoffs is going to be week 17. So everybody has a way more fair shot. The payout, I believe.
Playoffs?
Somewhere around 350. We're going to pay out 4 spots because we have so many people, so that at least the 4th place person gets their money back. It's going to be a blast, guys. There's already so many people in the fantasy chat that are excited. Andrew Matson's going to be my co-commissioner.
Nice.
And if there is a spillover, maybe he'd want to commission that one. Maybe we could talk about that. But, guys, it's going to be so much fun. And honestly, we're going to touch on it randomly through the season. So if you want to have yourself literally be a part of the podcast, get in there. And all you got to do is join the Patreon League. What's the cheapest they can do it for, Clay? Is it $3?
It's $3, get you access to everything. We got a 5 and a 10. There's nothing extra with that. That's just people that wanted to donate more. You can join an upper tier, but you still get access to everything. So $3, yeah. And you can pay it for the year too. There was a bunch of people that I didn't even know you could do that. And I noticed people were paying for the year and they were saving money. So there's a discount with that as well. Patreon handles all that. So, but yeah, it's an awesome time in there. And we're going to hit the questions tomorrow. We kind of neglected them a little bit. We got a questions for the show tab. So you can ask questions and we'll read them off here live on the air for every other show or so. So just a couple things that went through. And Jacob, thank you for heading that up, man. I really appreciate it, dude.
Of course.
Special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia is mentoring rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden, nicknaming him Bullet after Hall of Famer Bullet Bob Hayes, a former Cowboys receiver and Olympic gold medalist who wore number 22 like gold. And how cool is it that Bisaccia keeps tying in historic NFL players to current Packers to kind of get them in touch with the history of the game? You guys know Bob Hayes was a dog, speed demon. However, in the Ice Bowl, this is a really cool Packers history thing. Go back and watch the Ice Bowl. You can find it all over YouTube. There's an NFL Films version of it that's really good because they do behind-the-scene interviews and stuff. It was filmed a long time ago. They said that I think they asked, I want to say it was Herb Adderley, they asked him, Packers cornerback, hey, what's going on with Bob out there? He's like, oh, don't worry about him. Anytime he's not in the play, he's not going to be running a route to catch the ball. It was so cold at the Ice Bowl. He said he's sticking his hands in his pants. So all I got to watch is he got his hands in his pants or not. If he don't, then I know he's going to be in the pass route and I cover him. If he's got his hands down in his pants, I just don't even cover him. So pretty cool that the cold got to Bob Hayes. Bob Hayes was a dog. Pretty sure he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer as well.
Yep.
Said this inspiration came after Golden caught a touchdown in Wednesday's practice and made a notable catch on Thursday, breaking away from the defense. Golden researched Hayes and highlighted his speed, I guess, in a press conference there or a conversation at the locker in the last couple of days. So there's Bob Hayes winning the Olympic gold medalist. He was the fastest man in the world at that time that the Cowboys signed him, I'm pretty sure. So pretty cool little history there. How awesome is it, though, that your first-round pick is being mentioned with the likes of Bob Hayes and that kind of speed? It's awesome. So we kind of talked about this. The defense showed up there in the 2-minute drill. Nate Hobbs' breakup, Carrington Valentine, so we're good there. Omar Brown getting the pick of Taylor Elgersman. Left guard Aaron Banks, who signed the 4-year, $77 million contract in the offseason, left practice early and did not return. Travis Glover filled in. We'll mention it one more time for Emilio on the road back from New York. And then linebacker Quay Walker, activated from the physically unable to perform list on Wednesday, is limited to jog through work for now per Coach LaFleur. So just a little, like I said, update on everything kind of from a 30,000-foot view there. Anything else? Was anything we missed?
Emilio's just a Glover lover,
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
So, all right, guys, we're out of here. This was fun. Hopefully we got you all up to date on everything that's going on around the Packers in training camp. Do we got to practice tomorrow, Tim? What's the latest on that, man? What do we got?
Tomorrow. Practice in the morning at 10:30, followed by the annual meeting of shareholders at 3 p.m. So it'll be a long day for for the Lambeau faithful tomorrow. And then, day off on Saturday, and then 2 more, Sunday and Monday. Football's back, baby.
That's awesome.
It is back, no doubt about it. So, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow to cover practice and everything that went on there. We'll do the same thing on Sunday. We may try to go live during practice on Sunday. That would be fun, and just kind of give updates in real time. That would be good. Now, we got family night coming up on August the 2nd, right? So, August the 2nd, I'm so bad at scheduling stuff. I'm going to be at Bristol Motor Speedway watching the Braves and the Reds play the first ever baseball game in the Speedway. So if everything goes as planned, Jacob and Tim, I believe, are going to try to do a stream during family night where y'all can just kind of hang out and talk ball during it. Just make, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. If you can't make it happen, no big deal. If they do, I will call in from Bristol Motor Speedway and just chat with you guys for a minute. So the plan, though, is to we want to bring you guys as much content as possible in real time when these events are taking place. So we got the first preseason game on the 9th. Then you got the second one on the 16th, the third and final one on the 23rd. We're going to give you, actually, they're right here. We got the joint practice, right? So on the 21st, there's a joint practice on that Thursday with the Seahawks. That'll be a fun one. To me, those are just as important as a preseason game, because you get those 1-versus-1s for sure. So, guys, we're coming down a stretch. Won't be long. We'll be talking about it. It's week 1, so really excited about it. But that being said, we're out of here. Don't let this dude hit on you in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? On your way out. And, we'll see y'all tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll recap everything that goes on at practice tomorrow. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. There's Jacob's weird wave. Go Pack, go.
There we go.
We out.
Bye, guys.